Joining me now is Republican Senator Tim Scott of South Carolina, who joins me now. Senator, thank you for being here. So you heard Representative Clyburn. He said that Mitch McConnell prevented you from sitting down with Kamala Harris and Cory Booker, and that it's all his fault.
Well, no, I had multiple conversations with Democrats, including those two, about what they saw that needed to be changed in the bill. And I offered them, as you just suggested, 20 amendments to do the changing. They still walked away from the opportunity. And chokeholds, here's the interesting part. Chokeholds should be banned on the federal level. We did so. The House did so. On the local level, the House bill does not ban chokeholds, nor does mine, because we should never, as a federal government, tell the local department how to do their jobs, what tactics they can and cannot use. We can encourage behavior based on the incentive of grants, but neither bill actually bans chokeholds on the local level. But I would certainly add to my legislation the carotid, which is the blood flow that was missing on the chokehold part of the legislation. Yeah. But if that is our disagreement, that's solved in 30 seconds. Yeah. It's just
no, I think people just shake their heads. They just can't believe after all of this, right? After George Floyd, after the outpouring of grief over what happened to him, after all the stories and all the videos, your bill didn't even get to the floor for discussion on the Senate side when there is, as you say, 70% of it are things that you line up on, and some of the other areas of disagreement could have been worked out through these 20 amendments that 100%. You offered. You know, I mean, the American people see what that is. You know, I mean, it's pretty clear that there are individuals who don't want anything to get done and could have election purposes tied to it.
It's presidential. It absolutely is presidential politics tied to the issue 100% of the time. There's no doubt when you're at 70% with the ability to move forward, Martha, the only reason why you don't do it is because you think in November you have a better chance than July. Right. That means for the next 5 months, the communities that we're talking about will go without a legislative victory, not because of Republicans, not because of President Trump, because of the Democrat Party that refuses to negotiate from a position of 70%.
So nothing changes, and I think people see that pretty clearly from the most deliberative body in the United States Congress. We get no deliberation, no discussion, end of story before it even gets to the floor for them to begin that great deliberative process that they're supposed to be so good at. You brought tapes in to play of voice messages that were left on your machine in your office after you gave that speech. Tell me about that.
Well, we had more than a dozen of them. I only played 2 of them, which were the most racially offensive comments from liberals in this country that called to say that I was in their crosshairs, that it was so profanity-laced you can't play 5 seconds of those videos on your show because there are that many F-bombs, the N-word, by liberal Democrats causing a stir in my office, threatening my life. It is the most audacious, repugnant behavior I've seen in a very long time.
Well, it's very sad, and I'm sorry that you had to go through that for doing your job and for fighting for what you care about. You know, I feel like we've lost the ability in this country to have conversation and debate without it becoming so heated, and it's very, you know, I think it discourages everyone across the country that you can't open your mouth and have a discussion that turns into these shouting matches. Here's an example. This is a young woman yelling at police officers. One of them was white, one of them was black. The white officer said, look, don't talk to me about issues of race. I understand. I'm actually, my wife is black. And she wants him to produce a picture to prove it to her. This bratty kid. Watch what happened here.
You just called him a liar, saying you don't have a black wife and black children. You're still a liar. You're young.
I rather see a picture to believe it.
I mean,
wow.
What's going on?
That's ridiculous.
What is going on?
The uneducated are showing up in droves, and unfortunately, they're getting microphones because they have been empowered not by the historical perspective, not as Congressman Clyburn said, an assessment and an evaluation based on historical understanding. All that's out the window. It's chaos,
scary.
and chaos leads to anarchy, and that's dangerous, very dangerous for this nation.
Yeah.
And we need to force the conversation in the public forum so that adults can have conversations where we agree to disagree without being disagreeable. It can happen. It hasn't happened in too long.
Yeah. You and I spoke in a podcast that's going to be released soon about Martin Luther King and the language around race and the goals of wanting to have greater equality between races in this country, which has become like a hot button topic. So if people want to hear more of our conversation, I recommend it. You had a lot of great points. Thank you so much, Senator. Great to see you as always. Good to have you here tonight.